So it's called Method for Design Materialization for artists, educators, and archivists, an introduction. So first, I would like to say a few words about myself. So I'm a computer programmer, a design studies researcher, an interaction designer, and a new media artist. And here I would like to focus on my work as a design researcher. So what I'm interested in this context of design studies is to explore this idea of research through design. So how to develop arts and design methodologies that we could use in a much more process-oriented way, and how to use arts and design practices inside academia for the creation of hybrid academic research. And in the context of my paper, I start with a research object, which is Git and GitHub. So Git is a version control software that enables computer programmers to track, centralize, and archive their code changes through time. And GitHub is the online platform of Git for sharing code. And in addition of sharing code, we as computer programmers can use markdown files. So markdown files are made with a markup language, which enables the creation of formatted text from the code editor. So I would like to maybe introduce briefly and visually how Git and GitHub works in action. So from the command line, we're able to push blocks of codes and also blocks of text that are going straight to GitHub, to our profiles. So from the command line, the code is then displayed on our GitHub profiles and repositories. And a key feature of Git is the use of commits that are centralized and that are made in a chronological order. So what is interesting with commits is that they're blueprints from the code as well as the text when they were made and when they were pushed to the platform. And now I would like to talk about my research context, which is a research framework, a research through design framework that has been developed and initiated by Pipin Barr, Danny Godin, Rila Khaled, and Jonathan Lassar at Concordia University in Montreal. And in short, in a nutshell, it enables research through design practitioners to centralize, archive, and materialize the multiple trajectories of their design process. It's intended for artists, designers, practice-based researchers, in order to help us how to build pipelines for research to extract knowledge from our process-oriented projects. Okay, so in action, it works as a centralized platform, GitHub, and through GitHub, we have access to both code blocks and markup files, so we can centralize internal documentation and press from projects, as well as a process diary and block codes. And I'm sorry that the text is a bit overlapping the image, but okay. So what is interesting with this project and what is interesting with the use of GitHub is that everything is sorted in a chronological order. So it becomes some sort of like active archive of both code and text-based formats. And here I would like to talk about research creation, and what is interesting in the context of research creation is that it's driven by different iterative cycles, reflective process, and process archiving. So archiving is very much at the center of research creation. Then situated learning and pedagogy, prototyping and showing and quantifying methods and insights. And in the context of my paper, what I propose is to expand from the MDM research framework in order to fully explore the methodological and epistemological affordances of this platform, Git and GitHub, as a research creation and new media archiving tool. So explore the potential of Git and GitHub for new media practice-based research, from reflective process and process archiving to situated learning, prototyping, and showing and quantifying methods. These 4 processes that come in an iterative cycle through the process. And I built, in the context of my paper, I built from 4 articles, 2 from Summit 1. The first one that addresses a way to build a centralized archive platform. The second one that finds ways to connect digital archiving with new media pedagogy. And then the third one from Summit 2 that proposes a way to build a pipeline between the archive and a dynamic way to show and display the archive's outputs and iterations. And then the fourth one, which uses computational methods to query and navigate in a quote-unquote smart way inside archives. So what I will propose here is glimpse from my 4 main takeaways and how I expand from this research through design framework. So first, I propose the use of a journal, which is done in parallel to blocks of code to materialize in an active way an archive that is readable and that is intelligible for non-programmers. So to allow practitioners to build an active archive of their process. Then I propose the use of the GitHub's feature called issues, which is a way to create in a forum-like approach conversations between the code, the artist, the programmer, and the broader community. And I'm interested in exploring how the use of GitHub issues creates a much more situated and code-based oriented way to build situated learning and pedagogy. And then the third feature is the one of GitHub pages, which is a way to quickly create GitHub URLs to materialize the actual experiences or the experience at their current stages. So what I propose here is to build in a centralized way a pipeline that will display the archive that we can then embed in the centralized platform, which is GitHub. And then the fourth feature, not the third, but the fourth is the use of GitHub Insights. So how could we create a way to dynamically quantify and extract knowledge from computational method and analysis at the level of the GitHub's platform through the use of this feature called Insights. So to conclude, what I propose in this paper is to argue for the potential of Git and GitHub in order to enable media arts researchers and archivists, first from the creation of a journal that will contextualize the process in a much more intelligible and self-explanatory way, then for the creation of through the use of GitHub issues for the creation of a code-situated pedagogy where teachers, educators can interact with code at the level of the platform itself and at the level of the repository itself to address issues from blocks of code. Then third, with the use of GitHub pages to centralize design builds when they are at their iterative stages and to embed them through Markdown files inside the GitHub's platform. And then fourth and last one, to revisit the trajectories of the process through the use of computational tools and methods. Thanks.